What's up, everyone? Welcome to the first episode I make with a vehicle on my hoist. We actually have a 2011 Dodge Journey behind me. Really nice example. Got some low miles. I think it's about 100,000 kilometers. But Jerry is complaining that he's got some grinding brakes or some grinding noise when he hits the brakes. So we're going to check that out. And I'm also going to talk a little bit about this little spring assembly. If you want to see all that and more, stay tuned. Alright, so the first thing I want to do is a quick visual inspection of the brakes. So looking up front here, we don't see too much going on with at least the rotor. Everything seems pretty nice there. I'm going to take the wheel off and I'm going to check how much pad is left, see how much meat we got on there. Let's go take a quick look at the back here. Alright, so the back, not the same situation here. Got a little bit of rust build up on that disc. And again, without taking the wheel off, it's hard to tell. But if this is like that on both sides, that might be the reason why we've got some noise. Oh my God, guys, check this out. Oh, that might be where the grinding's coming from. So let's rip these wheels off and see what we got. Alright. So Jerry happens to be, I don't want to get this wrong, he is my sister-in-law's sister's husband. Yeah, that's right. So he's the one who dropped it off. It's actually his wife's car, but I got to speak with him, figure out what's going on. And I mean, I'm always trying to help out the family. I seem to be the resident mechanic, so of course I got this lift. Can't say no, right? Alright, let's see what we got. Oh yeah, look at that. Plenty of meat left. I would say we're about 50%. So we're still looking good here. Otherwise, everything inside here is looking nice as well. This thing's actually in really, really nice shape. I don't see much rust anywhere. I'm really impressed. Alright, moving on to the back. Alright, so there's still some meat on this side, but the rotor is in terrible shape. So I think we're going to be making a trip. I'm going to go get some parts, and we'll change these up. Before hitting the store, guys, I figured I'd take all 4 tires off, take a look at the brakes. The front driver's side is also in good shape, just like the front we first saw earlier. But check out the back on the driver's side here. This is like metal on metal. And this rotor is completely destroyed. So we're going to buy a set for the rear. Alright, this is not too bad at all, guys. There's only 2 bolts holding the caliper, just like any other traditional caliper. These happen to be 13 millimeter, so we're going to pop these off. That's nice and tight. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and push the caliper in a little bit, if I can, between the rotor and the disc. Or, sorry, the caliper and the disc. Then we'll just take it off nice and slow like this. Take your time, don't want to break anything. Always a good idea to make sure that your park brake is off as well. And just like that, we got the caliper off. Alright, and next up we're going to remove this bridge. And that's going to entail removing these 2 bigger 18 millimeter bolts. Yeah, it's an 18 mil, kind of an odd size if you ask me. But got the socket here. These can be pretty tough, so I got my bigger bar. Break them loose here. Wasn't bad at all. Mind you, when you got 2 feet of leverage, always helps. Alright, there's that second bolt. And now that that's out, we can remove the whole bridge. And it comes with the brake pads, which is kind of cool. Put that aside. And normally I would hold the caliper like this with a spring or a bungee cord, but this brake cable is so stiff, I'm not going to worry about it just now, but I am going to remove this nasty, rusty, old disc. I mean, look at that. That's crazy. Alright guys, so I've taken the time to clean the bridge here in the parts washer. And one thing I always like to do and check before I go too far is I like to make sure that these sliders actually do their thing. And they actually do in fact slide. So this one here, you can tell, it actually goes in and out pretty well. This one here, on the other hand, it's not going anywhere. I can't even. So what I'm going to have to do is work a little bit on that. So I think I'm going to grab a wrench. This one here, I can spin it pretty easily. I'm going to do the same on this one. I'm going to try and break it free. There we go. Anyways, I'm going to work on that a little bit. Just thought I'd mention it. Something else I'm going to do onto the caliper, or sorry, the bridge, before we put it back on with the caliper, is I'm going to replace all of these little clips. As you can tell, some of these are starting to look kind of dirty. I'm going to put some new ones because it comes with the brake pads. So I'll get all of the 4 clips on each bridge, because I'm going to be doing both sides. And then we're going to put the caliper back in place. Alright, so we got the bridge all cleaned up. New clips installed. The pins are free again. But before we can go ahead and install it and start putting everything back together, we need to push this caliper back in so that it will accept new, thicker pads, right? And of course, just like any new modern vehicle, there's a tool to do this, because just by simply pushing in on this caliper will not allow it to come in. I don't have the tool, so I'm going to show you how I get around this. I'm still going to use a C-clamp, but it's going to be very minor pressure. I'm just going to be using it to try and help me along, not as much as having the clamp do all the work. So I'm going to just clamp it on lightly, and I'm going to take a pair of adjustable pliers without putting any of the jaws on the seal. So you want to be very careful of that. And of course, I've already cleaned this off. You don't want any of the dirt going back in. I'm going to turn the actual caliper, or the actual piston, clockwise. And as you saw right there, it already loosened off the clamp. So this is kind of like a two-handed operation. It takes a bit of time, put a little bit of pressure, do a turn. Or not even a turn, but like an eighth of a turn. And we're going to do that all the way until the caliper bottoms out. Alright, when it gets far in like this, guys, you got to be real careful that you don't pinch that seal. But we're almost there now. Just take your time. Be gentle with it. Okay, so there you go. We're all bottomed out. Now we can continue on putting on the bridge. Alright. Get this guy in place here. Almost forgot. Before we can put the bridge on, we got to put the disc on, because otherwise we'll never be able to get it on. Now we can go ahead and put on the bridge. I mean, I call it a bridge. Not really sure what it is. Maybe people call it other things. Caliper holder. I mean, I'm not one of those guys that are too specific with some terms. Try and be as specific as I can, but what do you guys call it? Comment down below. I'd like to know. Maybe I'm calling it completely the wrong thing. Wouldn't that be funny? This whole entire video. Get those nice and tight. Alright. Okay, next up we've got the brake pads. One brake pad. 2 brake pads. Followed by the caliper. Now, hopefully you've pushed that piston in far enough so you can get everything going like I have here. Just like the bridge, we'll get 1 bolt started and then we'll slide the caliper down onto the next pin. We'll give these a nice tighten. There you go. And then there you go. Got ourselves a nice new set of brake pads in the back. Alright, now let's take a look at that spring we were talking about. Alright guys, quick comparison. This is the worst side. This is what the brake pads look like here. Not much meat left, both sides. Versus the new pads. I mean, look at this. Much thicker. Alright, so I talked earlier about the spring assembly with a little cup and some kind of a little, I don't know. It's kind of a weird setup, right? If you've never seen one before, it's an oil bypass valve and it sits inside the oil filter housing. If it's not there, it will not allow your filter to bypass, which will now allow oil, even if it's dirty, to circulate the engine. Dirty oil is better than no oil, so Jerry went into one of those drive-in, drive-out, get an oil change kind of things, and they mentioned to him that this had been missing for who knows how long. Jerry bought this used, so we're going to put one in for him. Alright, so with the beauty cover removed, we can see all of the glory and all the internals and the guts and everything that makes this thing tick. And right here is your oil filter housing. So I'm going to put a dirty rag so that when I remove this filter housing, it doesn't make a mess all over his engine. You're going to need you're going to need a 24mm socket to remove this. And you're going to be very gentle with it because this is simply just a plastic housing. And when we go back in, we don't want to over torque it. We'll go over that when that happens. Alright there guys, nice and slowly we're going to remove the oil filter. Didn't get much of a drip because it's been sitting for a little while. Okay, so very carefully what you need to do is you need to take this spring, not drop it on the outside of the hole, but you're going to put it inside the little cage, and then you're going to push this little one, this little plastic valve essentially down onto the cage until it clips, which is a little bit difficult. Just be patient with this. And actually, I had that backwards, guys. Sorry about that, but the little plastic piece goes in this way. I was trying to put it in the other opposite way. Pretty silly of me, but that's how that works. So now, if the filter ever has to bypass, the oil pressure will be going around this, and then you're all good to go. You will never starve the engine of oil. So now we're going to put the oil filter back in place. Oh, by the way, guys, why this goes missing, I don't know, but I've seen a couple of posts about this. My suspicion is during oil changes, if you're not careful, because this is under pressure, if it happens to be stuck to the filter, it might just actually fly right out and you might not even see it, or it might even just be stuck inside the filter and then you discard the filter and there you go. Then you're stuck with nothing like this. So real quick, I'm going to make sure that, oh my God. Oh my God. Ha! Oh, check this out, guys. I actually didn't expect to see this, but way down in the corner there, let's see if I can shine the light. Right there, right in the top left corner. there's the other plastic. Huh. Well, that's crazy. So that makes me wonder now, where the heck is the spring? Hopefully the spring went flying, but that also means I gotta take that out, because I don't want to leave that in there. That could be causing an issue. Come on, almost there. Ha, gotcha. Look at that, guys. Well, whatever was left in there anyway, so that clip must have broke. Fell right inside. Isn't that crazy? I mean, look at this. Just a little piece left. Unreal. Unfortunately, I have an even bigger concern, and that would be the spring. So we found the little plastic piece, but the spring's made of metal. And look at the size of the hole right down there. I mean, that would be big enough to allow that spring to fall in. Hopefully that's not what happened. Okay, so we're going to put the oil filter back in place. We've got the bypass valve in there. We've got no other shrapnel at the bottom. We're going to fire it up after, and I got to go through the screens and check the oil pressure, because this thing happens to have a digital oil pressure gauge, and hopefully it's reading decent amount of pressure. And as for the torque on this little guy, like I was talking earlier, it's actually 24 Newton meters, which ends up being 17 foot-pounds. So I'm just going to bottom this out with the wrench. And then, we already have it set up. We're just going to listen for the click. Right there. Let's put this beauty cover back on and check the oil pressure. Alright guys, let's see if we've got any oil pressure. I'm sure we do. This thing's been running pretty good. I am still a little bit concerned about where that spring went, but I have a good feeling that it might have just left with the old filter. So let's go down here into our vehicle info. Sorry guys, I don't normally, it's not my car, so how do I get into that? Oh, right here. Coolant temperature, oil temperature. There we go. Oil pressure, 564 kilopascals. Well, we're right in between the marks, so I mean that's pretty good. I'm going to say we're good there. And another thing I like to do, guys, before we go anywhere, when you do a brake job, let's see if I can get some light in here, is to pump the brakes a few times. Make sure you've got good pressure, because there's nothing worse than when you first hit the brakes after a brake job and the calipers are all the way in. It goes right to the floor and you can't stop and you run into your wall. That's terrible. So now there's only one thing left to do. Let's go for a test drive. Alright, let's go for a little drive. We'll make sure everything's good. Sorry about the lighting, guys. It's pretty dark out. I mean, I do have a full-time job, so I'm just doing this to help out Jerry, and we'll see how it works. Alright, so here we are going down the road. Everything feels good. I don't feel any vibrations whatsoever. I don't want to hit the brakes too hard. There's somebody behind me, but here we go. Let's do a stop here. Listen for anything. Beautiful. No noise. I like that. We're gonna get a little bit further down the road, get this guy off of us, as I don't want to cause an accident, of course. And then we'll try that one more time. Alright, let's do this one more time. Nobody behind us. Let's get back up to speed here. And we're going to do a heavy brake this time, because I want to get the brakes warmed up. You alright, honey? Sorry. Brakes are working excellent. That's good. There's no noise. There's no I didn't hear any kind of funky stuff, nothing in the pedal, good feedback on the pedal. So I'm very happy with that. Alright guys, so we're back at the shop. Everything went well. We didn't have any grinding noises. I didn't hear any wheel bearings noises. We got some oil pressure, still at a good pressure. We're sitting at, what is it now, 236 kilopascals, right in the middle of the scale, so that's a good thing. Very happy about that. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope it was educational at the very least, and we'll catch you next time. Thanks for watching.